I think I have a pretty fun video for me and also for you, but basically I added all of the 50 books that I have in my 2026 TBR jar into a bookshelf on Goodreads, and then I sort the average rating of all of these books, and I'm gonna share with you the top 10 highly rated books from my 2026 TBR list. When I look at the average rating of all of the 50 books that I added into my TBR for 2026, even the lowest one, in my opinion, it's still a pretty good average rating. Highest average rating of the book that I added in my 2026 TBR is 4.57, and the lowest one is 3.29. I feel like even if these books are rated pretty low, 3.29 in my opinion is still pretty decent. I think I will have enjoyed the book still, but if you want to know the bottom 10, I guess, of my 2026 TBR according to Goodreads, make sure to subscribe because I will film that video next and I will upload it probably close to this one that I'm doing, which is the top 10 highest rated books according to Goodreads. I have all of the 10 books in front of me. I'm gonna go from number 10 all the way to number 1. So without further ado, number 10 is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. So this book's average rating on Goodreads is 4.24, and it's based on 350,118 ratings, which is crazy. There's a lot of people who have read this book and rated them, in my opinion, pretty highly. I'm just gonna read the back of the book because I feel like it's just the easiest to tell you what this book is all about. Under the Marshall Empire, defiance is met with death. Leia and her family do not challenge the Empire. They've seen what happens to those who do. But when Leia's brother is arrested for treason, she is forced to make a decision. In exchange for help from rebels who promise to rescue her brother, she will risk her life to spy for them from within the Empire's greatest military academy. There, Leia meets Elias, the school's finest soldier, and secretly, its most unwilling. He and Leia will soon realize that their destinies are intertwined and that their choices will change the fate of the Empire itself. Wow, it is named one of the best books of the year by so many outlets: Amazon, Barnes & Noble, The Wall Street Journal, BuzzFeed, LA Weekly, Bustle, Paste Magazine, Indigo, Suspense Magazine, the New York Public Library, Pop Sugar, and Hypable. And there are 3 more books in the book series, and of course I have all of the books in the book series, so I definitely would love to start this book this year because it is in my 2026 TBR. Number 9 in this chart, I guess, is The House of Eve by Sadika Johnson. Let me see. This one has an average rating of 4.25. It is based on 138,197 ratings, which is, again, a lot of people have read this book. So this one is set in 1950s Philadelphia. 15-year-old Ruby is on track to becoming the first in her family to attend college, but a taboo love affair threatens to pull her back down into the poverty and desperation that has been passed on to her like a birthright. Eleanor arrives in Washington, D.C. with ambition and secrets. When she meets the handsome William at Howard University, they fall madly in love. But William hails from one of D.C.'s elite wealthy black families, and his parents do not let just anyone into their fold. Eleanor hopes that a baby will make her finally feel at home in William's family and grant her the life she's been searching for. But having a baby and fitting in is easier said than done. With their stories colliding in the most unexpected of ways, Ruby and Eleanor will both make decisions that change the trajectory of their lives. I have no idea how these 2 characters are going to be related, but I cannot wait to read this book. Hopefully, again, this year I will be able to read it. Alright, so on number 8 in this chart, again, is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillick. This one has an average rating of 4.26 based on 688,024 ratings, which is crazy. I actually read this book, I believe, in February, and I rated this book 5-star. I don't know how, but once I start this book, I cannot stop reading the book, and I just keep on flipping the pages. I think I probably stayed late at night awake reading this book. And when I posted about this book and that I'm currently reading this book, I think a couple people DM me and say that the second book is even better, which I was thinking like there's no way the second book is better, because sometimes the second book or the sequel from an amazing first book will not top the first one. So I'm really excited to hopefully read the second book this year and finish this series. If you don't know what this book is all about, it's about Elspeth, who needs more than luck to stay safe in this eerie, mist-locked kingdom of Blunder. She needs a monster. She calls him the Nightmare, an ancient, mercurial spirit trapped in her head. He protects her and he keeps her secrets, but nothing comes free, especially magic. I feel like I should just summarize this book in a way that I remember from reading it. But anyways, this book has a very interesting magic system and it is pretty simple. So if you're not an avid fantasy reader like me and you're worried if you're gonna understand the magic system or not, you don't have to worry, because it's based on a deck of cards. And the main character, Elspeth, has this like monster or like a voice, I guess, in her head that sometimes could help protect her whenever she needs to be and whenever she's in danger, but there's always a trade-off that comes with that protection. And she also met with like the royal family of Blunder, and she kind of get intertwined with one of the nephew of the king, and it just got, like I said, really interesting. It's very fast-paced in my opinion, because I read this maybe in a couple sittings, and like I said, I cannot wait to read the second book, and I really hope it is better than the first book like everybody says. So this is gonna be number 7 in the chart of my top 10 books from my 2026 TBR, and the next one is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. This one has a rating of 4.28 and it came from 1.8 million ratings. That is again insane, and I have heard so many great things about this book. This book has been adapted to a TV show, I believe, because I have seen the clips all over TikTok, like maybe, I don't know, last year or something, and that is why it piqued my interest to actually look up what this book is all about. But this one is basically about a chemist, Elizabeth, who is not your average woman. In fact, Elizabeth would be the first to point out that there is no such thing as an average woman. But it's the early 60s, and her all-male team at Hastings Research Institute takes a very unscientific view of equality. Except for one, Calvin, the lonely, brilliant, Nobel Prize-nominated grudge holder who falls in love with, of all things, Hermione. True chemistry results. Like science though, life is unpredictable, which is why a few years later, Elizabeth finds herself not only a single mother, but also the reluctant star of America's most beloved cooking show, Supper at 6. Elizabeth's unusual approach to cooking proves revolutionary. But as her following grows, not everyone is happy, because, as it turns out, Elizabeth isn't just teaching women to cook, she's daring them to change the status quo. I remember in one of the clips that I saw on TikTok about the TV adaptation, I think she was talking to this one woman who is an audience in her cooking show, and that woman was saying that she has been wanting to be a doctor, that is one of her dreams or something like that, and then Elizabeth encouraged her to, you know, go for it. But then the woman was saying like, oh, I can't do it, I have a family, I'm married, I have kids to take care of and stuff like that. Anyways, Elizabeth keeps encouraging her, and I think a year after or so, the same woman came back to the show as an audience, and she told Elizabeth that now she is enrolled in medical school and she is basically balancing school and her family and her obligation as a wife all at the same time, which is again amazing. I heard that this book frustrates a lot of people because it is set in the 60s, but I cannot wait to hopefully read this book this year, and let me know in the comment below if you have read this book as well. This one is gonna be a number 6 in my top 10 chart of books, and this one is Sight by Neil Shusterman. The average rating is 4.32. It's based on 421,251 ratings, and that is again a lot of people who read this book. This is the first book in a 4-book series, I want to say. It is YA. It has a very interesting premise, and when I hear about the premise, it just really piqued my interest. and I decided to get the box set probably last year. This one is about a world with no hunger, no disease, and no war, no misery, because humanity has conquered all of those things and has even conquered death. Now, scythes are the only ones who can end life, and they are commanded to do so in order to keep the size of the population under control. I think it's Citra, I don't know how to say the FMC's like name, but it's actually kind of like an Indonesian name. Citra, that is what it is. But anyways, her and Rowan are chosen to be an apprentice to a scythe, a role that neither of them want. These teens must master the art of taking life, knowing that the consequence of failure could mean losing their own. They learn living in a perfect world comes only with a heavy price. Like I said, it has a very, very interesting premise. I don't know how the story based on the summary could be stretched out to like 4 books, but I cannot wait to read the first one and hopefully continue on with the series. Like I said, if you have read this book, please let me know in the comment below what your thoughts are. So this is gonna be book number 5 in my top 10 book chart, and this one is a chunky book. It is, hold on, oh my gosh, and it is Alchemized by Senlin Yu. This one has an average rating of 4.36 based on 235,445 ratings. To be honest with you, I am questioning why I decided to get this book, because I did not read the original, which is called, I think, Manacled, which is a fanfic of Draco Malfoy and Hermione Granger from Harry Potter. This one, like I said, is pretty chunky. I think it's over 1,000 pages. It is in my 2026 TBR list. Will I read it this year? Honestly, I doubt it. Will I start it? I might. But basically, this book also has a lot of trigger warnings that I probably should have looked up before I bought the book. But usually, I'm not really bothered by those trigger warnings too much. I just don't know what it is or what they are in this book. This one is a riveting dark fantasy debut. A woman with missing memories fights to survive a war-torn world of necromancy and alchemy, and the man tasked with unearthing the deepest secrets of her past. I feel like I need to take off the dust jacket so I can read the summary, because the book is heavy. And oh my gosh, I didn't even know that the dust jacket has this on the other side, which is really pretty actually. Okay, so this one is about a promising alchemist, Helena Marino, who is now a prisoner of war and of her own mind. Her resistance friends and allies have been brutally murdered and her abilities suppressed, and the world she knew destroyed. In the aftermath of a long war, Palladia's new ruling class of corrupt guild families and depraved necromancers, whose vile undead creatures help bring about their victory, holds Helena captive. According to Resistance record, she was a healer of little importance within their ranks. But Helena has inexplicable memory loss of the months leading up to her capture, making her enemies wonder, is she truly as insignificant as she appears, or are her lost memories hiding some vital piece of the Resistance final gambit? To uncover the memories buried deep within her mind, Helena is sent to the High Reef, one of the most powerful and ruthless necromancers in this new world. Trapped on his crumbling estate, Helena's fight to protect her lost history and to preserve the last remaining shreds of her former self is just beginning. For prison and captor have secrets of their own, secrets Helena must unearth whatever the cost. Very interesting, like I said, and I don't know why I bought it. I think it just kind of like very hyped when it was coming out. Everybody was really excited for it to actually be traditionally published, even though I think everything changed in the character's name and in the storyline and in the world basically of this universe. So I don't know, I was just curious, I guess. But like I said, we shall see. I'm hoping that I will read it, but I don't know. Okay, so we are at number 4, and that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. The average rating for this one is 4.39 based on 4.1 million ratings. which is again crazy. I have read this book in January, I believe, and I did rate this book 5-star. Honestly, I did not expect to like this book so much, but I just really love Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. And once I start the book, I think in the first week of January, I just could not stop reading the book. I just want to find out what happens with all of the 7 husbands that Evelyn married and divorced within her lifetime. There's also this mysterious kind of like connection between Evelyn and Monique, which is this journalist that Evelyn decided to choose to write her life story, her memoir, I guess. And it was just kind of fascinating how Evelyn goes to different lengths to actually make sure that her image and her reputation do not fall under her own standards, and the sacrifices that Evelyn, also some of the people around her, have to make for that ambition, because Evelyn really wants to be known as the most famous, most beautiful actress in this decade in Hollywood. It was just crazy, you know, the things that she did to protect that image. If you know, you know. Anyways, this book again was such a great read. I think if you have not read it, this is one of the, in my opinion, overhyped books that actually worth reading. And let me know if you have read this book, what your thoughts are about this one in the comment below. We are on the top 3. So number 3 is the first book in the Harry Potter book series, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I have not actually read the book series, even though I watch all of the movies. So I just decided that this year is gonna be the year where I actually read the book series and maybe not touch it again after that. But anyways, this one is number 3. The average rating is 4.47 based on 11.5 million ratings. That is just insane in my opinion. Like, this book series and just this world really shook up the world when it first came out. What is it, like 1990 something? I think it is. It originally published, I believe, 1998, and I think the movies, the first one came out, I want to say in 2000 or 2001. Anyways, this is the number 3 in this chart. Number 2 in this top 10 chart is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This one has an average rating of 4.51 and it's based on 1.3 million ratings. I actually tried to read this book maybe like last week. I got to page 22 and I don't know why, but I wasn't in the mood of reading this book. I'm not really a sci-fi reader at all, and I just couldn't really get into it. And I know everybody and their moms who do not really read sci-fi really love the book, and the movie adaptation just came out I think a couple days ago in the US, and I'm pretty sure everywhere, and people who have watched it and have read the book said that this adaptation is really great. When you're making a movie based on a book, you have to cut off a lot of things, right? And sometimes they also add things that is completely different than what the stuff that are happening in the book, so people don't like it. But I heard from a couple people that I have watched who read the book and watched the movie, they really liked the movie. So I'm gonna try it again. I don't know if I'm gonna try it next week. Maybe I will. I feel like I just have to get through the first maybe 50 to 100 pages to really get into it. But like I said, I will try again probably next week. I'm sure you are curious on what is the number 1 book from my 2026 TBR, and it is Fort Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This one has an average rating of 4.57 and it is based on 3.6 million ratings. I feel like this book, especially the 3rd book in the series, was really hyped up in the beginning of 2025 because Onyx Storm, the 3rd book, just came out and people were going crazy on the special editions. I know that people are trying to buy a lot of the books from Target or from other places that have special edition and try to like sell it on eBay or some other like book selling platform, but I was able to get the Target edition of Onyx Storm, I think, like maybe a month after the book has published. And then I decided to finally get the first book. I know, like, I really shouldn't be doing this because I have not even read the first book at the time I bought the 3rd book. and I didn't even own it. But anyways, this one is the book that took the #1 spot based on the average rating from Goodreads out of the 50 books that I picked for my 2026 TBR. Honestly, I'm not surprised. People said that they love Third Wing, they don't really like Iron Flame, which is the second one, and they start liking Onyx Storm again. I think I read the first 22 pages, I believe, in January, because it's part of my January TBR technically, but I didn't get to it. So hopefully I will be able to pick it up again this year sometime. I don't know. I still have what, 9 months, so I think I will have time to hopefully read this. Anyways, those are the top 10 books by their average rating according to Goodreads that I picked for my 2026 TBR. Let me know if you are surprised for any of them. And like I said, I think the lowest rated books is 3.2, and this one, which is #1, was 3.57 or something. No, 4.57. So I feel like some of the books that I pick, even though they are low, even though they're rated lower, but they're not like 2 or 1. So I think I will have a good time either way.